Let's continue our discussion of convolution encoder with this particular video. This video will talk about representations of convolution encoder. I hope you all have gone through the first video. I recommend you to go through this video only once you are through with the first video. So let's see the representations of convolutional encoder. In the first video, we have discussed the analysis of convolutional encoder using three different approaches. First approach is the circuit analysis. Second approach is time domain approach, where we discussed convolution, and the third approach is transform domain approach. Now these were the approaches of convolutional encoder analysis. Now let's go with the representations of convolutional encoder. As this particular diagram suggests, there are three ways to represent a convolutional encoder. The first way is state diagram. The second way is code tree, which I have shown here. The first one is state diagram, which is shown here, and the third is trellis representation. So what is trellis? It's a tree-like structure. So the short form is trellis, which is the third diagram. So there are three ways to represent a convolutional encoder: state diagram, code tree, and trellis. Now we will go in detail with each of the representations. So to discuss the first representation, that is state diagram, I'm going to take help of the convolutional encoder, which we have already discussed. This is a very typical conventional convolutional encoder, which is covered in most of the textbooks. So it has two flip-flops, then two XOR gates. This is 1/2 convolutional encoder because for one input you are going to get two outputs at a time. So once we decide this particular convolutional encoder, the next task is to draw the state table of the convolutional encoder, because the state table will be converted to state diagram. So let's see that state 0 0. Now there are two flip-flops, so the output is Q1 and Q2. So because there are two flip-flops, we expect four states: 0 0, 0 1, 1 0, 1 1. So whenever we are in a particular state, there are two possible inputs. Either I am applying 0 or I am applying 1. Now with every applied input, the state will change. So we will have next state transition, and with every applied input, we will also have outputs, right? So every present state will have two rows, one which indicates what will be the next state and what will be the output when input 0 is applied, and second row will indicate what will be the next state and the outputs when input 1 is applied. So let's start with initial state, which is state 0 0, right? So when you are in state 0 0, when you apply 0, your output will be 0 0, and your next state will also be 0 0, because this 0 will be transferred here. This Q1 status will be transferred at the Q2 output, so your output will be 0 0. So that is the first row. So when you are in the present state 0 0, when your input is 0, your next state is 0 0. See, this indicates next state. I have also shown NS here. NS indicates next state, and that is applicable for all the four transitions, all the four different states. So this is also next state, this is also next state, this is also next state, and present state is written outside. Now you are in state 0 0, this is 0 0, and 1 is applied. So what will be this output? This output will be 1, because this XOR gate will receive 1, 0 and 0. So this output is 1. This XOR gate will receive 1 and 0. So this output will be 1, right? And this 1 will be transferred here in the next clock, and this 0 will be transferred here. So my next state will be 1 0. So when the present state is 0 0, input is 1, next state is 1 0, but output is 1 1. This is how your state 0 will have two transitions. Now let's talk about state 0 1. So when this is 0, Q1 is 0 and Q2 is 1, and when 0 is applied, the above output, upper output is 1, and the lower output will also be 1. So this is 1 1. But right now this is 0 1, you are applying 0. So this 0 will go here in the next clock, this 0 will go here in the next clock. So your next state will be 0 0. So that will be the first row of this particular state transition. Now whenever you are in 0 and 1 state, and if 1 is applied, so this 1 will go here, this 0 will go here, this 1 will go here. So the upper output will be 0. Similarly, this 1 applied will go here, this 1 will come here, so second output will also be 0. But now you are in state 0 1 and you are applying 1, so this 1 will go here and this 0 will go here. So my next state will be 1 0. This is how your state 0 1 will have transitions. Similarly, you can verify state 1 0, and similarly we can verify with state 1 1. Let's verify one more state. Let's Assume that you are in state 1 0. So this is 1 and this is 0. Now you apply 0. So the upper output will be 1 and lower output will be 0. So this is 1 0 and you are in 1 0 right now and you applied 0. So the 0 will go here in the next clock. This one will go here. So the next state will be 0 1. And now you are in 1 0 and you apply 1. So this output will be 1 1 and 0. So above output will be 0, lower output will be 1, and you are in 1 0 right now. You are applying 1. So this 1 will go here, this one will go here, and your next state will be 1 1. This is how we can write the state table. And now just convert this state table into state diagrams. So let's verify the first state A. State A indicated by 0 0. So whenever you are in 0 0, you receive input 0, your next state is 0 0, your output is 0 0. This is indicated by this arrow. Whenever you are in 0 0, you receive 0, your output is 0 0, and you remain in the same state. So it's just self loop. And whenever you are in the state 0 0, you receive input 1, your next state is 1 0, your output is 1 1. So whenever you are in state 0 0, you receive 1, your output is 1, and your next state is 1 0. If you observe this state diagram carefully, you will see I am showing dotted lines and solid lines. So the convention is solid lines are the transitions when the input received is 0, and dotted lines are the transitions when the input received is 1. So whenever you are in any of the states, when you receive input 0, we show the transition using solid line, and if the input received is 1, we show the transition using dotted line. So let's verify for one more state. So now you are in state 0 1. So let's verify 0 1, and you receive 0 input, your next state is 0 0, output is 1 1. So you are in 0 1, you receive 0 input, your output is 1 1, and your next state is 0 0. It's a solid transition, right? And if you receive 1, whenever you are in 0 1, your next state is 1 0, your output is 0 0. You receive 1, your next state is 1 0, and your output is 0 0. So that is indicated by the dotted line. So this particular diagram is a state diagram representation of given particular encoder, which is this encoder. So every state diagram will be unique to an encoder. Only once you change the encoder, your state diagram will change. So now I can say that the same encoder which I have drawn with the help of a circuit here is represented by this particular state diagram. So if any particular input is applied, I need not go back to the state diagram and analyze what is the output. I can refer the state diagram and I can analyze what is the encoded sequence for this particular applied input. We will see what do I mean with this particular statement in a short while. So let's again verify another state diagram once I change the encoder. Let's change the encoder just for the sake of practice. So this is also a convolutional encoder. This is also 1/2 encoder because you are applying one input at a time, and for one input you are getting two different outputs. We will again see what is the constraint length. What is constraint length of this encoder? It is number of times your input affects the output. So whenever input applied, it is affecting the output. So that is first time, and when the input goes to the output of flip-flop, it again affects the output. So 2 times the input applied is affecting the output. So the constraint length of this encoder is 2. Now there is only one flip-flop in this encoder, so we expect there are only 2 states. So we will be indicating that by S0 and S1. S0 is actually state 0 and S1 is actually state 1. So let's see the state diagram. Let's assume that you are in S0. That means this particular output is 0, and now 0 is applied. So your output will be 0 0, and this 0 will be transferred here. So your next state will also be 0 0. So whenever you are in 0 0, your applied input is 0, your output will be 0 0, and you remain in the same state, which is 0 0. Right? Now you apply 1, but you are in state 0. So when I apply 1, this output will be 1, this output will be 1 XORed with 0. So this output is 1, and this one is going to get transferred to this output in the next clock. So my next state is going to be S1. So this is indicated by this transition. I am in S0, I am applying 1. So the output is 1 1, and the next state is S1, which is state 1. Now whenever you are in state 1, that means this output is 1, and when the input applied is 0, your output will be 0 1, and you will go to state 0 from state 1, because this 0 will be transferred here. So whenever you are in S1, you receive 0, your output is 0, 1, and your next state will be S0. But if you are in state 1 and you apply 1, your output will be 1, 0, and this one will go here in the next clock, so you remain in the same state. So whenever you are in S1, you receive 1 as the input, your next state is the same state, which is state 1, and your output is 1, 0. So this is state diagram representation of this particular encoder. There are two states because we have one flip-flop. Now what is the advantage of this representation? The advantage is it is a very simple representation, but disadvantage is that time reference is not possible, right? Time reference in the sense, if I am applying say input sequentially, and let's assume that I have applied 4 times input, so I am expecting 4th clock, but that is not possible to identify whenever you are revolving in the state diagram. At any particular instance, it is not possible to say how many inputs you have applied so far, because you are just traversing the state diagram. So time notion is not possible here. For example, if I say that I am in state 0, 1, now there are multiple ways. I might be going to state B and then I am coming back to C, or I might be going to B, from B I might have gone to D, and from D I might have come to C. So how many bits I have applied when I am in state C is not possible. So we say that time reference is lost here. Time reference is not possible, right? Now how to analyze your output, how to analyze or how to generate a code word for the given input, that we will see a little later. In the meantime, let's go with the next representation, which is code tree. Now what is the speciality of code tree? This is the second representation. The first we have seen, which is state diagram. Each branch of the tree represents one input symbol. So in the state diagram approach, once you receive the input, you are changing the state. You have the transition of the states. Now in this case, whenever you have received the input symbol, you have a branch coming into picture, the branch of a tree. The convention used is, if you are going in the upward branch, upper branch, it represents binary 0, that means you have received 0, and if you are going to the lower branch, that indicates you have received 1, and then you start repetition of the tree. We'll just see what I am saying with the help of an example. So again, come back to this particular encoder. It is a very typical encoder. We have discussed this earlier. So this diagram, state diagram, represents the same encoder. Now I want tree representation of this, right? So let's see the state diagram and convert it to tree, right? Let's assume that you are in state S0, that is the reset point of your circuit. So we are in state 0, which is this point. If I receive 0, I remain in the same state and my output is 0, 0. Now reception of 0 in state diagram is a solid line, reception of 1 is a dotted line. Similarly, in case of tree structure, reception of 1 indicates movement in the upward branch, and reception of 0, I correct my statement, reception of 0 indicates movement in the upward branch, and reception of 1 indicates movement in the downward branch, lower branch, right? So I start with state A. If I receive 0, I take the upward branch and my output is 0, 0, and if I receive 1, I take the downward branch and my output is 1, 1. But when I follow the upper branch, my next state is A, which is this, it remains in the same state. But if I go to the downward branch, lower branch, my next state will be state B, which is actually state 1. A here indicates S0, and this node B indicates S1, right? So this diagram, how to map it? This S0 is actually A and B is actually S1. So you are in the initial state, you receive 0, you take the upper branch. When I take the upper branch, what is my output? 0, 0. But you come to the same node again, A to A, it remains in the same state. And if I am receiving 1, we are taking the lower branch and my output is 1. But after taking 1, I will go to the next node. So my next node here is B. This is B, or this is S1 if we refer this particular diagram. Now again, what will happen? Again, this is state A. So again two possibilities. When I receive 0 here, again my output is 0 0. If I receive 1 here, my output is 1 1. If I am in this state, if I receive 0, I take the upward branch this, and my output is 0 1, which is indicated here. And if I receive 1, my output is 1 0, which is indicated here. But once I get 1, I remain in the second node, which is S1, so this remains in B, and when I take the upward branch, I go to node A, so this node is again A, right? So this is how the tree will keep on expanding. And you see that there are two states, and both the state come in the picture when you are at the second level. This is first level, right? First clock, first time instance, and this is second level, second time instance. So can you see the advantage? Time notion is not lost. So whenever I am at this level, I say that this is the second input which I have received at this particular time, because my time reference is this time reference, earlier time reference is this time reference. So the time notion is not lost. We can figure out how many bits I have received. For example, let's consider you have received 1 0. So 1 0, where will you go in the first one? I am here, I am receiving 1. So I'll take this branch, right, and I come to this node, and now I receive 0. So I take this branch, and now I come to this node. So whenever I am standing at this node, you know that 2 bits we have received till this point, right? So the time notion is not lost, which is the advantage compared to your state diagram. But what is the disadvantage? State diagram is your most compact representation, and tree will now keep on expanding. Suppose I take 5 bits, then after first bit I come here, after second bit say I come here, after third bit, fourth bit, fifth bit. So the tree will keep on expanding in vertical as well as horizontal direction, because this branch will also increase, these branches will also increase. So the most compact representation is a state diagram. The tree is an expanding structure, but the advantage is the time notion is maintained, right? So have you understood this? Again I repeat, the tree upper branch is taken when the input received is 0 0, lower branch is taken when the input received is 1. Upper branch is taken when the input received is 0, lower branch is taken when the input received is 1. Right? The same thing in the state diagram is when you receive 0, it's a solid line transition. When the input received is 1, it's a dotted line transition. So this is the comparison of tree structure and state diagram. So let's verify few of the concept. Let my message is 1 0 1 1. So far we have just discussed the tree and state diagram representation. Now let's see how to encode a particular message. So let's say my message applied is 1 1. Which encoder I am referring? I am referring to this particular encoder, 1/2 encoder, where I have the state diagram and where I also have the tree. So let's verify all the concepts which we have discussed so far. So what is the output from the state diagram? What is the message? 1 1. Okay, now refer the encoder again. Once I apply first one, right, that one will go here in the next clock. Then I apply the second one. Then after that clock, the second one will go here. And as I mentioned in the first video, we have to append zeros to complete the operation of the circuit, right? How many zeros you will pad to your message? The number of zeros padded to the original message is equal to constraint length minus 1. So if your constraint length is 3, you change your original message by padding 2 more zeros to it. In this particular encoder, what is the constraint length? What is constraint length? Number of times your input bit affects the output. So in this case, the input bit is affecting the output 2 times. So my constraint length is 2. So 2 minus 1. How many zeros I will pad? I will pad 1 0. What was the reason? The reason I have explained in the first video. Just go and refer the first video. So now what is my modified message? My modified message is 1 1, which is original message, and 1 0, which is padded here. Now let's come to the state diagram. So I am going to analyze the state diagram for 1 1 0. So now you are in this state. What is the first bit you receive? 1. Once I receive 1, I go to state S1, and what is my output? 1 1. So my first output here is 1 1. But now you are in this state because you have received 1. So your state had a transition. Now in the second state, whenever I am in S1, I am receiving the next bit 1. So once I receive 1, I remain in the same state, right? I am remain in the same state. And what is the output? 1 0. So what is my encoded message? 1 0. And now you are in this state, and what is the third bit? 0. So if I receive 0 here, I'll go to S0, and what is my output? 0 1. So my output is 1 1 1 0 0 1. That is the output when you apply the message 1 1 0. So this is your code word of convolutional encoder. This is the output of a convolutional encoder once you apply 1 1 0. Which approach I am talking here? I am talking the approach of state diagram here, right? Now let's take the convolution approach. I have taken this convolution approach for the first encoder in the first video. So what is time domain approach? What is H1? Now let's verify few of the concepts. For convolution, I need impulse responses. Now there are two branches, so I will have one impulse response of this branch and one impulse response of this branch. How to find impulse response? Apply 1 here. So if I apply 1, my upper output is 1, right? And then that 1 will come here, and to complete the operation I will apply 0. So that 0 will go to the upper branch, right? So my upper impulse response is 1 0. What will happen to the lower impulse response? Say initial state is 0, right? I am applying 1 because impulse is application of 1 only once. So once I apply 1 here, this output 2 is 1. Now that 1 will go here, and to complete the operation I will apply 0 here. So 0 XOR with 1 is again 1. So lower response is 1 1. So I got two impulse responses, 1 0 for the upper branch, 1 1 for the lower branch, and my message applied is 1 1 0. So it is, if I compare 1 1 0, right, my output is, this is, my message is actually 1 1. When you go with the convolution approach, we don't have to append a 0 to complete the operation because it's a convolution. So 1 0 is your impulse response, 1 1 is the applied input. So the first output is 1 1 0, second output is 1 0 1. Now you combine these outputs because you receive 2 bits at a time. So it is 1 1 this, then 1 0 here and 0 1 here, which will match to this particular output, right? So this is how we got the output using convolution approach, but this is how we got the output using state diagram approach, right? Now let's see what is the output using state diagram. That we have already discussed. Let's see what is the output using a tree diagram. So again come back to this. So my earlier message is 1 1 and I am padding 0 here, so my message is 1 1 0. So how to analyze? My first bit is 1. We start from this. So I receive 1. So which way I will take, upper branch or lower branch? When I receive 1, it's a lower branch. Now we have calculated the output using state diagram. We have also calculated the output using convolution approach. Now I am calculating the output using tree structure, right? So now I refer to this structure because this is the encoder which I am referring. Now see what I am having, 1 1 and 0. So if I have first one, I take the lower branch and I come to this node. But what is the output? 1 1. So write the output which is 1 1. Now what is the second input? 1. But you are already reached this node. So now again once you receive 1, again you follow the lower branch. So if I follow the lower branch, what is the output? It is 1 0. So previous is 1 1, now 1 0. But now again you reach this node. And what is the last bit? 0. Once I receive 0, I have to take the upper branch. So if I take the upper branch, my output is 0 1. So what is the total output? 1 1, 1 0 and 0 1. 1 1, 1 0 and 0 1. So we got the same output using a tree structure. Previously we discussed this for state diagram. Now we discuss this using tree approach. One more time I will explain how do I get this. My message is 1 1 0. I am referring tree structure. So my input is 1 1 0. So when I receive first bit 1, lower branch. So I come to this node. What is the output? 1 1. Then I receive second one, again lower branch. But I reach this node. What is the output? 1 0. And I receive third 0, which is upper branch because third input is 0. So what is my total output? 1 1, 1 0 and 0 1. So I get the output of the encoder using convolution approach, which is time domain, using state diagram approach, and also using the tree structure. So I hope you have understood the tree structure, state diagram representation. In the next video, we will see the third representation, and that is trellis representation for the convolutional encoder. I hope that before approaching to the third video, you go through the first two videos and get clarification with the concepts of basic convolution, what is meaning of convolution encoder, what is constraint length, what are different ways to analyze convolution encoder, and what are the representations. Just go through the state diagram representation and tree representation, and you can also try the tree representation for the encoder which we have already discussed. This particular encoder, we have covered the complete treatment of the second encoder. You can go with that particular tree representation for this particular encoder. So we'll continue the discussion which will involve trellis structure and few more important concepts of convolutional encoder, right? So just go through both these videos. Thank you so much.